Welcome to SAG-AFTRA Foundation's Conversations at Home. I'm Jenelle Riley from Variety. The SAG-AFTRA Foundation has a COVID-19 relief fund to support SAG-AFTRA artists with basic needs like rent, food, and healthcare costs during this global pandemic. Donations are 100% tax deductible and directly support performers in dire need. You can find information in the description of this video. And now it is my pleasure to introduce filmmaker Sacha Polak and actor Vicky Knight. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you.
Your film, Dirty God, it's already received 4 British Independent Film Award nominations. You won 3 Golden Calves at the Netherlands Film Festival, and we're finally going to get to see it in America on November 13th. But I want to start with Sacha. You co-wrote and directed this film. Can you talk about what inspired you to want to tell the story?
It started when I saw this young woman at a music festival who was severely scarred in her face. And I looked at her and I looked away and I saw everybody reacting the same way. And I thought, this woman, she can never hide from this. Like, people are always going to stare at her. And she stayed with me for some time. So I kept thinking about her. And then I was in London working there and I started interviewing young burn survivors. And I heard these stories about acid attacks happening. So that was such a strange thing to me, that people threw acid to sort of, say, like, if you're not beautiful for me, then you can't be beautiful for anybody. So those two things sort of build upon the story. And I thought, like, your face is your identity, it's your first portal of communication. And if something has happened to that sort of, I thought it was an interesting idea for a film, also because it's a visual medium.
Prior to doing these interviews, were you familiar with the use of acid in attacks, or did that kind of surprise you?
It surprised me, and when we were writing it, it sort of exploded. At a certain point, like, London was sort of the capital of acid attacks, and that wasn't the case when we started. When we started, it was just here and there, and it was not something new. It had happened like many years before. It's also, it happens also in other countries, but London, it sort of exploded. So, yeah.
Is that why you chose to set it in London? Because I know this is your English language debut, and I'm curious what made this the film to make that transition. Yeah,
it is, of course, like, when you start to write something, then it starts to get roots at a certain point, and then after a while it cannot take any, then it has to be here. Like, whenever we started to use it with acid attacks, we really felt it needed to be here.
Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, the film hinges so much on your lead actor who plays Jade. And Vicky, I'm so surprised that this is your film debut. It is so assured, and you're so great out of the gate. Had you acted before? How did you find out about this project?
No, I never, I never acted before at all. It's quite a funny story, to be honest. I was in a stupid reality TV thing. I don't even know what you want to call it. But they basically humiliated me on TV, and they misled me, basically, and said it was a program about how people with disabilities live their life on a day-to-day basis. And I got bullied a lot when I was at school. And then I thought, it's an opportunity just to explain to people of what it's like to be a burn survivor. Well, it didn't turn out to be that. It turned out to be a dating program. And I'm gay, and they put me on dates with boys, and one of the boys I was on a date with, he was also gay. But I'd walk into a restaurant, they'd be sitting there, and I'd say, right, now tell him what had happened to you. So that was the first thing. So then after that came out on TV, I got bullied so even more from that. I got hate mail, everything. And then I got a message from a lady called Lucy Pardee, who's a casting director, and she just said to me, do you want to be a part of this movie? And in the beginning, I was like, no way. So I ignored it, and I think I ignored it for about a year. And then I got a phone call on like a no-caller ID, and I answered it, and we got talking, and she explained to me what it was about. And then, Sash came over from Amsterdam, and that's where it kind of took off, really.
Did the casting director know who you were? Because you had done your own video, I believe, prior to the reality show.
Yeah, so I made a so I made a video of how I got burnt as a child because as I said, I got bullied when I was in school and college, and my college teacher said to me, you know, you need to do something with your story. It's so inspiring. So then I came home one day. I made just a short little 5-minute video on my iPad, nothing special, and then I put it on Facebook and YouTube. And the next day, my Facebook blew up. Like I had hundreds of thousands of shares and likes and comments, people from all around the world, people with scars and not scars, you know, messaging me like, you know, how inspiring I am and things like that. And that kind of, yeah, and I think Lucy must have seen that, or she'd seen the other thing, I'm not sure.
Sacha, were you familiar with Vicky's video prior to that?
Yeah, so my idea was right from the start, like I want to make this film with a real burn survivor, because I felt like you need to see that the scars and the pain are real. If you don't believe it, then I felt like half of it is going to be lost. Like if you do this film with a really famous actress and you give her lots of makeup, and then, yeah, I felt like we need to find somebody who had sort of similar experience. So we were sort of looking for all the burn survivors, girls from a particular age. So we found Vicky quite early on in the process, but as Vicky said, well, she first ignored us. But then when I finally met her, I thought she was amazing. I mean, she has beautiful eyes. She had such a powerful energy. And we did the first audition, with Vicky and 2 theater school actors. They were young actors, but what was immediately clear that was Vicky was really good, and the theater school actors were good. So then it was it was a long process where we went swimming every week because Vicky needed to learn how to swim because
let me just point out, she cut it out of the film, if you don't mind.
What?
Yeah.
But now you know how to swim.
Yeah.
We had dancing lessons, which was we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of laughters in it.
That was also an experience.
It was an experience. And then we did, like Vicky was very important in the casting process as well. So for me, it was important that she felt safe and good with all the other actors. So Bluey, for instance, who plays Nas, Vicky's the boy she's in love with. Vicky said, like, I'm gay, but for him I would turn straight. I think he's super sexy. So that was really clear that the Bluey needed to be Nas. And with Catherine Kelly, who plays Vicky's mom, she had such a good vibe and energy together. So that's how we build it up very slowly. And it was a bit like, for me, the most nerve-wracking thing was that she was really young as well. So I thought she's gonna change, and we didn't know, like, what would happen to you.
Vicky, what was it like for you as someone who, I mean, had you done any acting, school plays or anything like that?
I did like drama for like, you know, GCSEs, A-levels kind of thing, but I never really thought about doing it. Like my main goal in my life is I wanted to become a nurse, and that was it. Nothing else was going to change it. But I just remember from the minute the first day I was on set, even in the makeup room getting my makeup done, I don't know, for something came over me, and I was just like, this is what I want to do. You know, this is me. Like, yeah.
Was it intimidating going through the audition process, being brand new to it, and then once you had the part, getting to like work with these other actors? You know, I'm betting it was fun, but also a little scary, maybe.
Oh yeah, I was petrified. I mean, because I didn't really, I didn't really know what was what and how it was going to work, and I was just more excited that I was going to be in a movie. And I told everyone, even before I got the role, I'm going to be in a movie, you know. And I was just like, I was just so excited, and so like, yeah, my energy was so high. And I remember the day the casting director rang me up and she said, I've got some news for you. And I said, yeah. She said, well, Sacha and me would like to give you the role. I remember being in my garden. I screamed from the top of my lungs. I was screaming and screaming, like, oh my God, like seriously, I'm going to be in a fucking movie.
And then once you had the part, how did you go about preparing to play the role of Jade? I mean, you're in almost every scene.
Yeah, so the way me and Sash did it, so before we started shooting, we rehearsed a lot. We did loads of rehearsals, even with the actors that were picked as well, we still rehearsed. And we went through the script on how I overcome things and how Jade would have felt in the film as well. So like there was a scene where my mum in the police station where my mum's telling me what the doctors had said to her. And I, to me, I mean, it was very difficult to film. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't all, you know, happiness, but I remember my mum telling me the same similar thing, you know, of what the doctors had said to her. And that's how I got into my feelings and emotions. I thought back on what I had experienced and put it into the film. But yeah, I think since doing the film, it saved my life, to be honest with you. Like, I can't put it into words how much, like, it saved me, because before I didn't accept myself. I hated my scars. I felt like a monster. I didn't want to, I covered up all the time. The only people that saw my scars was my mum or my sister, you know, my family. I never had any relationships or anything like that. And the minute I see that film on the screen in Shoreditch, I literally, every bad feeling and thought went out of me. And it was like I didn't see myself on the screen, but someone else with my scars. And from that moment on, I was like, do you know what? There's nothing wrong with me. And from then, it's just, yeah, I've just been on a high since. And I don't think I've had a bad day since I've watched the film, to be honest.
That's not true.
Yeah, but I mean, bad days as in myself, like not reflecting badly about myself anymore. You know, if people don't like it, then don't look at it.
Still, while shooting, Jade has so many challenges. Was it ever hard to be in that headspace? Are you able to let her go at the end of the day?
I think because where myself and Jade is so similar.
They are.
Like, you know, some scenes I was reliving the past, which was very hard for me to, because, what can I say? It's more like I didn't know how to handle my emotions. And because I was a kid, when my accident happened, I was in a fire when I was a kid. I never ever had to deal with my emotions growing up. You know, it wasn't until I hit school and college, that's when the bullying started and my emotions were so all over the place. And when we was filming and there were certain things, and, you know, that brought me back to that stage, I didn't know how to deal with it mentally. Like I just, you know, had breakdowns and things like that. But now I just feel so much more mentally stronger. It's unreal. I didn't ever think I'd get this to this point.
That's fantastic. And I actually want to talk about some of the rest of the cast, because it is such a great ensemble. And I'm curious how you went about rounding out this cast. And, you know, Vicky, you got to meet them in the audition process, I presume. Like the chemistry was there instantly.
Yeah, I mean, Catherine Kelly, the one that plays my mum, she actually met up with my real mum and got some experiences from what my mum had went through, you know, of having her daughter burnt in a fire. So she was so like into her character. I mean, she spent about 8 hours sitting with my mum discussing things, you know, and that to me is just, if you want to go out of your way that much, you really want that role. Do you know what I mean? And she was fantastic on screen. Even when she wasn't on screen, she was still in her character, and it was just amazing to watch professional actors, how they work. You know, so yeah, every one of the cast was brilliant.
And Elisa, the baby, she was.
Oh, she was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we couldn't sleep with her every moment, because like she's small, and there's certain rules to work with children, of course. But every time we had another kid, it didn't work, and I was like, we need
That
guys.
day we had that double. Oh my God, that put me off for having kids for life. We had this one child that was standing double, because in England you can only have a certain amount of time on set with a child. Oh my God, this kid, it never stopped crying. It screamed from the minute I looked at it, from the minute it went home, and we ended up using a doll in the end. Like, I wasn't well that day either, and it was just having this child high-pitched screaming, and I was just like, no, I can't do it. So yeah, the doll was better.
Sasha, what is your casting process usually like? Because in this case, you had your lead actress, and it sounds like you sort of built around her. Is that typical, or is it vary from film to film?
For me, it's typical. When I think of it now, I think like for both my previous features, it sort of went like that. Yeah, with Hemel and Zuur, it both evolved mainly around the main female lead. Yeah.
Going back to the casting, because we have so many actors who watch these, is there anything you would want them to know coming into that room, that might help them? Auditioning is such a strange process. I'm just curious if you have any pet peeves, things you like, things you don't like, that might help them.
No, it is very, very different. I always see it like a bit like falling in love with somebody. You cannot say like this person needs to have brown hair or something. That's ridiculous. I mean, see something in somebody that you connect to, and that is. I did feel like, for instance, with this film, we did audition, for instance, an actress who, into her role, she really went sort of like very emotional into this part, and Vicky just looked at her and started laughing, I think, or you were really trying not to laugh, but yeah, I mean, of course you have actors that need to do that and need to have that moment, but in this film Vicky was the star. Like you needed to fit in her world to be part of this movie. So when you have an actress that then sort of needs a lot of her own space and time, and that really didn't fit. So that's maybe something to take away, that sometimes you, as an actor, you need to know in what sort of thing you're playing and with who, and sort of try to get a connection there, I think. Yeah.
Especially because if they're already there acting with the lead actor. I know it's different when you come in and you're just sort of coming in blind. Like, yeah, I would think you would want to match their energy.
Yeah.
This film actually premiered at the 2019 Sundance Film Festival, and I know that the response was tremendous. And I know all films are personal, but I have to imagine a movie like this, you must have had so many people who wanted to talk to you and probably share their experiences as well. What was that like?
I think every film festival that we went to, because we went to so many, and I remember being at Sundance and so many people were coming up to me, people that never had burns. I think there was a few people there as well that did have burns. And they were just asking questions, how are you so strong? How are you, so inspiring? And I remember also people with mental health as well coming up to me and going, you've changed my life. Like you've changed my way of thinking. And that for me is just the biggest achievement I've done, really. So changing people's lives without even meaning to, it's just, yeah, I don't know. I just think I don't know. I don't know what to say. It's just so heartwarming, honestly, because I still get messages all around the world that people have seen the movie and they're still messaging me now, like you've changed my way of thinking about life, and the compliments I get in, it's just like, yeah, I don't want my head to get too big.
Go ahead, you deserve it.
No, but special, I think, for me as well, because we did travel everywhere. We went to China, Australia, all over Europe, America. But to do that together with Vicky, in a way, audiences respond to her, but for me as well, the way Vicky responds to everybody with so much warmth and really taking the time for everybody to speak to them, which I found, heartwarming, really, and really special to see.
And Vicky, I know that I guess your first job was in healthcare, but you're so fantastic in this movie. Are you going to continue acting?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've got an agent now, and I've just done a short film actually, which hopefully will be out in April next year. And me and Sacha are going to be working on another film for next year as well. But yeah, I mean, I will never ever give up my job at the hospital, because that's something I've been doing for the last 7 years, and that to me as well is just so rewarding, because I don't know, I like to make people smile, and in both jobs I'm doing it. So, it's, yeah.
Do people at the hospital ever recognize you from the movie, or do they understand they're working with a movie star?
Yeah, I think that's the only thing that I think annoys me just a little bit, is some of the is some of the staff will go, oh, you got a movie star looking after you, and I'm like, stop. But no, I've had patients recognise me, and I think it's a very good platform to talk about, people that have I've also worked on the burns unit as well, because the hospital that I work at is specialised for burns and plastic surgery, and that's what saved my life, that hospital. So I've worked on the burns unit before, and I've told people about my film, and they're just like, some of them are so in denial about how they look, because when it first happened, I mean, especially as an adult, you've lived your life, do you know what I mean? And now all of a sudden you're disfigured, kind of thing. But yeah, and it's changed their way of thinking and things like that, and it's just, yeah. It's annoying, but I love it, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And I don't know, can you tease anything about this project you're working on together?
Not yet. No. Yeah. We just got finance from the BBC, so that's good. And it is a project that is more about Vicky's real life in a way. And her sister will also play a part in it. So that's nice, but the rest will come.
That's so cool. And Vicky, considering how terrible your first experience in front of the camera was with the horrible, misleading reality show, I have to imagine there had to be a lot of trust between you and Vicky. I don't know if that was immediate, if it took you time before you really believed you could trust this person. But obviously you didn't want to. You avoided them for like a year. Was there a point when you sort of finally gave yourself over and realized this was someone you could trust?
No, I'm still trying to think now. I'm joking. No, I'm joking. No, I remember meeting Sacha near my house actually, and yeah, I don't know. We formed a very, very, very good friendship way before we started filming. She took me swimming lessons, which I still hate you for. I remember one day I was so hungover. She come knocking on my room. Vicky, swimming. I'm like, fuck off. But no, I think, I mean, I don't know. She's a friend for life. Yeah.
That's fantastic. I want to remind everyone watching at home that you can see the film here in America on November 13th. On behalf of the SAG-AFTRA Foundation, I want to thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. And thank you so much, everyone watching at home.
Thank you.